Welcome to Paranormal Nightshift, your home for all things that go bump in the dark and your fan stories told here. Today's story comes from Georgia and is called Leftovers. My husband and I had finally realized the American dream. White picket fence and everything. It was a gorgeous house. It was probably built somewhere in the late 70s, and it just was everything we needed. A one-story ranch house with a basement and an attic. Our kids were in love with it, and it just felt like home. We were probably at the house for a year before anything paranormal started to happen. Now, basements are inherently creepy. We can all admit that. But my husband had this wonderful idea that he needed a man cave, and I deserved a she shed, right? The basement was unfinished, and it was the one part of the house that we hadn't really spent any time in. So as we had started to do our construction remodeling, we noticed that there was a lot of leftover stuff from whoever had been in the house before. Boxes of just family heirloom, maybe. Nothing of any value. Papers and just boxes upon boxes. Trash is what it felt like. My husband, thinking that he's going to be on the next episode of American Pickers, thinks anything old holds value. Not me. I thought it was just trash. He wanted to go through all of it. So we brought it upstairs, and he started to rifle through some of the stuff that he had found down there in the basement. He came across a box that had toys in it. Choo-choo trains, actually. And I know that there are people out there who really love trains, but it just was kind of cool. It had to have some sort of value to it, and it had to be at least 20, 30 years old now. My husband decided he would set it up for the kids. As a parent, you understand that there's things called one-day toys. It'll be really, really cool for one day. Then it'll go back in a box and live in the box for the rest of its life. But this train overwhelmed our family. My husband and the kids just loved it. They loved seeing the little smokestack go and everything about it. And the train would go for hours on hours. It would never stop. I didn't understand how it worked. There were no plugs, there were no anything like that. It just, was it steam? It would go for hours. It had this really loud, screeching train whistle that would go off periodically. It eventually got to the point to where I was tired of it. Guys, you have to put it up. I'm tired of hearing the whistle. And that's what they did. He went and boxed it up, and we just put it in a closet. But I swear I could keep hearing the train whistle over and over again. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm laying in bed with my husband, and I hear the train whistle go off. I was so angry. One of the kids must have had to go get it out of the box and decided to play with it. We kind of throw this thing away in the morning. Sure enough, that morning the train is set up in the living room, but none of the kids owned up to it. I guess they thought they would get in trouble, but none of the kids owned up to pulling the train out and messing with it that night. Boxed it up again, put it in the closet. The same thing happened the next night, and the night after that. That's when the paranormal activity began. At first I didn't believe my children, but they all said they didn't mess with it. The train would just be out in the morning, regardless if I had boxed it up, regardless where I put it. The train would be out in the morning, running that night. You would always hear the whistle and the chug of the train going over and over again all night long. I decided that I was going to do some sort of experiment. That night, I was going to put the train and the box in my closet. I sat there fighting sleep all night long. I even set an alarm for 2 in the morning, but I must have fallen asleep at some point in time. I'm not a very light sleeper, so something would have woke me up. If one of my kids went into the bedroom, grabbed the box, and put it out, I would have known. I would have heard it. But sure enough, the next morning, the train was set up in the living room. I really became freaked out, and I threw it away. I threw it in the dumpster and waited for the trash people to come and collect it. It's gone now. Lives in the dumpster. That's what I said to myself. But sure enough, the next morning, the train was set out in the living room again. My husband and kids all visibly shaken, not knowing what to do, because it wasn't menacing. It wasn't scary. It was just a toy. It was just a toy train, but it kept showing up
My husband was freaked out. He said, I can't explain it, but it has to get gone. He bagged it up and went and threw it away at his work, I guess. He took it with him. He never told us where he threw it away. We never had any other issue out of the train. But every now and then at night, I swear I can still hear that whistle right around 2 o'clock in the morning. I love stories like this because it doesn't always have to be a creepy doll or something menacing. Train just wanted to be played with and was left in the house for some reason. Paranormal Night Shift does a live show, and I want you guys to make sure you're following us on all apps. Check out our podcast on Spotify as well. It's at Paranormal Night Shift. And we're thinking about doing a couple of live shows, like in different cities. We're going to be in Savannah in October. Tell us where we should go next. And thank you guys for watching Paranormal Night Shift.